Hello viewers, welcome to today's session. In today's session, we will be discussing about environmental quality and human health. In our previous sessions, we have seen that what is the importance of environmental quality and the environmental pollution, be it the air pollution, water pollution, in all its forms, it is detrimental to the health of human beings and also poses threat to the survival of other living beings on this planet. In today's session, we will be elaborating more on the relationship between environmental quality, what are the factors which determine the environmental quality, and what role does it play in human health and safeguarding the healthy survival of living beings on this planet. So learners, let us first of all understand what do you mean by environmental quality? What does it mean? So, we know that there are certain properties, certain characteristics of the environment. When I say environmental quality, means it is a set of properties. These properties, these characteristics of the environment, they may be local, they may be region specific, or they may be general. So, these characters have an influence on the living organisms. It may be a short-term influence or a long-term influence. So, you understand it very well that we have an influence on the local climate, on the local conditions of the environment which are prevailing at any particular place. So, altogether, when we see that there are set of properties of air, water, weather conditions, so many types of things are there. So, altogether, they constitute the environmental quality. When I say environmental quality, means I am talking about the different components of the environment. Air, water, soil, the meteorology of that place. So, altogether when these properties combine, they form a set. So, we can also say that environmental quality is a condition of the environment. And this condition is determined by so many factors. Abiotic factors, biotic factors, the influence of different variables which are existing. So, every unit, every element has a role to play. But it has an impact on the activities which the human beings are doing. So, our needs, our livelihoods, our styles of living, everything is determined by environmental quality. And you must be agreeing with me. We know that why people live differently in different parts of the globe. At some regions there is a cold, in some regions there are warmer climates. So, the type of living, the type of occupation in which they indulged in, that is entirely different, and that is determined by the environmental quality. So, the quality may be poor, the quality may be good, the quality may changes. When I am speaking all these terms, I am clearly referring to the point that the conditions change, the properties change. And therefore, we say that the deteriorated environmental quality is causing threat to the survival of the species on this planet. So, when I say deteriorated environmental quality, in some way or the other, I am referring to the disturbances which are now occurring in the environmental quality. They may be occurring because of the natural factors or the anthropogenic factors, but one thing is very clear that the environmental quality keeps on altering, keeps on changing with every passing era, with every passing decade. We notice the changes in the environment and the set of its properties. Another question which is quite obvious according to today's session is that what is health? What is human health? When do we say that a person is healthy? So, very appropriately, the World Health Organization in 1948, it has defined health as a state of complete physical, mental and social well-being, and not merely the absence of disease or infirmity. If I do not have any disease, that does not qualify me to be healthy. It doesn't mean that I am healthy if I am not having any disease or I am not visiting any doctor. That means I am healthy. It is not so, because WHO has clearly mentioned and specifically it has said that physical, mental and social well-being of a person is very important to say that the person is healthy. And most of the times we talk about the physical well-being where our body responds and is not functioning properly, we say that we are ill. If you are having headache, we say we are ill. But many a times we are not aware of the mental issues, of the social issues that are also affecting our health, our everyday living, our decisions, our concentration, and so many things. That is our behavior. So many things are being reflected by our mental and social well-being. So it says that even if we are physically fit, if we do not have any disease because of physical ailments, but we may not be healthy if we are facing any sort of mental, emotional or social issue. So in the recent times, this statement has been quite popularly used, and it is said that a person, if is healthy, a society is healthy, the nation is healthy, it contributes towards the social and economic productive life, which is very important. Economic productivity, the way we function; social productivity, how do we live amongst fellow human beings on this planet, among our peers, among our colleagues, among our friends, family, neighborhood. What is our behavior? That is also determined by our social well-being. So it helps the society to contribute more productively towards the economic and the social well-being. So what we have discussed till now, that we have seen what is environmental quality, and now we have also learned that what is human health. Now what is interesting to know, that how does changes in the environment and the conditions of the environment, how does it affect our health? Does it affect our mental well-being? Does it influence the way we interact with our peers? So that is something which is very interesting and we must know. So let us see, first of all, what are the dimensions of the health? As I said, there are physical, mental, emotional, social and spiritual dimensions of the health. Let me explain to you this further. Physical dimension of the health is characterized by your body functioning, type of food you are eating, the rest which your body takes, sleep duration which you are taking, what type of work you are doing. If your body is working in a healthy condition, you don't have any disease, that is the physical dimension of the health, which is determined by the factors which influence our living, including our food, our working and the normal physiological activities of the human being. Then mental dimension of the health is our state of mind, our decision making, our emotional balance, our, how we are able to react to a particular situation, our logic, our reasoning. All this is our mental well-being. If you are able to maintain a state of complete balance, that is our mental dimension of the health. So a person who gets angry very often, a person who is short-tempered may have the physical well-being all correct, but there may be some issue with the mental dimension. Then the emotional dimension means how we are behaving socially, how we are interacting amongst our family members, amongst our friends. So the type of social network we are having. The social dimension again is a characteristic where we are able to interact, our role, we are able to play you can say a very instrumental role in the societal functions, all these type of activities. So that is our social well-being, means we are interacting, we are not aloof. That signifies our social dimension of the health. And the spiritual dimensions means meditation and gratefulness and having a sense of gratitude. This all constitutes the spiritual dimension. So a person to be healthy must have all these dimensions in balance, means physically, mentally, socially, emotionally, spiritually. We are in a complete state of balance. That means that then we can say that yes, we are healthy. Now, environment and health, as I said, see, environment and health are related to each other because our surroundings have an influence on our health. So, of course, our physical dimension of our health is influenced by the environment which we are living, whether it is pollution free or the chemical rich food which we are eating, or there is so much of noise outside the place where we are residing. So, this is the physical dimension. Yes, it has an influence on the mental, social and the emotional dimension also, because it is always believed that cool, serene environment which is free from any contaminants, it does have an influence over mental peace also. So, environment impacts all the dimensions of the health that we have studied just now. So, yes, it is believed that it affects the air we are breathing, the water which we are drinking. It is a part of it. But apart from it, the other dimensions of the health are also improved by good environmental conditions. So, they are related with each other, and good environment is a condition of good health. So, this is also true. If our surroundings are clean, pure, without any pollution, it indicates the good health of the people. That is also true. And unfortunately, in today's time, what we are seeing is that we are staying in a concrete jungle form. We are surrounded by the chemicals of all sides, all types of radiations, all types of foreign elements, I should say. So, these anthropogenic disturbances are a threat to the healthy survival of the human being. So, in today's times, what we are noticing that why there is so much of diseases coming up, why at early age we are facing so many health issues in children, in youngsters. Why we are facing all that? Because of the changes in the environmental conditions which are very common nowadays. There is pollution of all sides. There are chemicals in our food. Air which we are breathing is impure. Water is impure. The rivers are filthy. The surroundings are not clean. We have so many types of pressures which are surrounding us. So, in view of this, it is said that our health suffers because of the changes in the environmental conditions. So, environmental determinants of health, as we have seen that what environmental factors related to health are there. For example, physical, chemical, biological and meteorological are the environmental determinants of health. So, physical determinant means it is determined by the sunlight, water quality, air quality, or the presence of the physical elements, what kind of place, that means the geography also, the terrain also, the location of that place. So, that these are the physical dimensions which influence the health of the human beings, and it is determined by the factors which are mostly abiotic in nature. So, the type of rainfall the place receives, the type of the soil which is there, the type of the meteorology which is there. Although meteorological factors are also categorized as different because of the today's changed conditions in the weather patterns. Then the chemical determinants of the health. Environmentally, we can say that yes, because of the chemicals which are present in our food, in our soil, so many types of chemicals we are exposed to in today's times, and biological factors which we are still seeing in the form of the different invasive species. Allergens are there in the surroundings, the different types of pollens are there. These are biological entities. These are the environmental factors but do influence our health. So, when we fall sick and when we are not well, we can easily relate to all these environmental determinants. So, many times if the pollution is there, we are coughing, we are sneezing, we are having allergies to certain kinds. So, these effects may be acute, they may be chronic. In the long term, we may face severe health hazards occurring to us because of these environmental determinants which are there in our environment, in our surroundings, and most of the times we are exposing ourselves. Whether at the place where we are living or at the place where we are working, we are always exposed to these chemicals or the physical factors. So, if high level of humidity is there, if too much of space constraint is there, if we are living in too many congested places, this is also a physical dimension and it affects the health of the people. So, if you categorize further these environmental factors, for your understanding, it is better to understand in this way that there are certain environmental factors which affect our health. For example, air pollution. Most of the world's polluted cities are in our country. Air pollution particularly affects the asthmatics, the children, the elderly, those who have low immunity. So, it affects respiratory diseases it is causing. It is leading to several types of allergies. It is causing different types of infections. Then natural disasters, when they occur, they also give rise to several waterborne, vector-borne diseases which are very common at the time of floods. So, these are environmentally induced factors, we must say. Because of the factors which are affecting the environment, the frequency and severity of natural disasters is more in today's times, and it does affect the health of the people. Not just the victims of that time, But over a large period of time, you will find that the place becomes contaminated or it is rich in certain chemicals. So it also in the long run affects the generations of the populations. Climate change, as we are seeing, because it is causing diseases which are vector borne, such type of diseases are very common. Then another factor is lack of access to healthcare facilities. Most of the times where primary healthcare facilities are not available, the different types of diseases occur, they are not attended to, and in the long run they reduce the productivity of the person. Infrastructure, because just setting up of the primary healthcare centers or dispensaries will not serve the purpose unless and until we are able to provide good service to the people, to provide to make them aware about the importance of good health. That also plays an important role. Water quality is poor, it is rich in chemicals. Around 2 billion population of the world does not have access to safe drinking water. We are a water stressed country, and in view of this, the deteriorated quality of the water impacts the health of the people, because people are forced to drink the contaminated water. Similarly, the same contaminated water is used for irrigating the fields, and through the food chains it again comes into our bodies, and more specifically we should not forget about the impact of pesticides and other chemicals which are there. And presence of chemicals. As I said, our food, fruits, vegetables, cereals, they all are rich in chemicals today. So when we consume these crops, there are chances that we may fall sick after consumption of these chemical rich food over a long period of time. And another important factor which we must remember in today's time is indoor environmental quality and health. Not only when we are outdoors, but even if it is indoor environment, that is also not conducive for the health of the people, because the quality of the indoor environment is affected by air quality determined by building materials, ventilation, the different types of consumer products, electrical appliances, cleaning products, the behavior of the occupants, for example, smoking or using chulas which emit a lot of gases which are harmful. So these are the indoor factors which affect the health of the people. Indoor environmental factors which affect the health of the people, and in today's times where people are living in congested areas, this problem is becoming more severe, and it is known as the sick building syndrome, where people living in closed environments with lack of space, lack of ventilation, they are getting prone to different types of such diseases. So there is exposure to particulate matter, chemicals, to combustion products, and in the damp conditions where sunlight is not coming, there is a growth of different types of biological agents that cause asthma, different types of allergies, particularly to children, elderly people, and in the long run it may cause severe respiratory or cardiovascular diseases. So indoor environmental quality must also be good, so as to see that the human health is protected, it is taken care of. Then apart from these environmental factors, learners, you must also know about the socio-economic and demographic parameters which affect the health of the individuals. For example, income level. Not all are fortunate enough to seek the medical advice or get the nutritious food, I should say. So because of the variations, because of the economic inequalities that we have in our society, there are certain groups of the populations which are devoid of good medical care, and therefore they are more prone to illnesses of various kinds, whether it is seasonal ailments or whether it is some sort of, because of the exposure to hazardous chemicals, it may result in long-term issues. So income level is one of the most important factor which determines the state of health affairs of the population of any country. Then gender is a very important aspect, because most of the times the females are denied access to the healthcare facilities. A major share of the women in our country is anemic, and particularly they do not have access to, they do not have awareness, knowledge about the importance of good health, and they don't have the means to seek good health services for themselves. So there is a bias among the family, among the society. We find the bias, and their health is mostly ignored, and eventually when the female health is not in a good position, it does affect the health of the entire family. Employment levels are important factor, the way we are employed, the type of job that we have, and education of the people. We must realize that the education plays an important role towards taking good care of ourselves, because it makes us aware of the importance of healthy food, good lifestyle, and in this way it is very important to see that how. So these are some socio-economic factors which also have an influence. However, this is also true that these factors are also influenced by the environmental changes in some form or the other. And health equity, if you see, a lot of it prevails in our countries across the world, because rise in the population of the urban centers, which are considered as the centers of economic growth, there is inequality more. There are the extreme weather conditions prevailing over here, and changes and competition for the scarce resources like land, water makes things worse. Apart from it, food security is a major concern, because prices are rising globally, and because of which it is very difficult to see that good food is available to all sections of the society. So equity, health equity, it's a major challenge, because we are not able to see that benefits of good health are there to all. And in the urban areas, we also have the unsustainable means of living, in the form of there is no physical activity, air pollution is more, traffic related accidents are more, there are more heat and cold, stress related illnesses, housing is unhealthy, and therefore these are some issues. So we must remember, learners, that there is environmental burden of disease, and this concept was introduced by World Health Organization to see that what is the impact of environmental risk factors on the population in a more comprehensive and comparable way. And it says that out of the various illnesses, what is the environmental burden, how many diseases, and what is the magnitude of severity of those diseases because of the environmental related factors. So this concept was introduced by WHO. Then we have another concept which is an economic measure, I should say. It is quality adjusted life year. It is a generic measure of disease burden which includes both the quality and the quantity of life lived. So we have increased the lifespan, but today it is also important to see that the health span is also increased. So just working on the life expectancy, we have more additional years. People are living more, but the quality of the life has deteriorated. So, quality adjusted life year is used in economic valuation to assess the value of medical interventions. And another thing is disability adjusted life year, means they measure the overall disease burden and how many years of your life you have wasted because of maybe not working properly, because of ill health or some disability or early death if it occurs. So it is also very important parameter which was developed in 1990s to compare the health and life expectancy of different countries. So in this way we can say that these are some of the important measures. With this I end the session, and I hope you must have understood the relationship between environmental quality and human health. Thank you.